This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing. Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
All right, welcome back to Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. Hey, we're going to do this show a little different because there's some logistical issues. One of the greatest days in hockey, and one that I think hockey has that no other sports have, is the trade deadline. Like, so many pieces move. It's like drama right up until the 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central. We're out here in the Pacific time, Vegas. So little trade deadline day special. I'm in Vegas here with Al Stalock. Kinger's back in the studio. All of this is brought to you by our friends at Pilot Games. Make sure when you're out enjoying the state tournament, when you're celebrating the additions to the Wild roster right now this evening, make sure you grab one of the tablets, because when you do, not only can you win some cash versus like me and donated it to the casinos last night, you and your community win too. So thanks to our friends at Pilot Games. Al, how did you do at the tables last night here in Vegas?
I did okay. I found my way onto a 2-deck blackjack for a little bit and got on a little bit of run. It was nice and got to do what we enjoy doing here, is sit on a recliner and just watching sports, taking on basketball, hockey. I mean, it's on every TV. It's like the ultimate setup for any guy that wants to tune sports in. But the tables were good. You can't always say that here, but was able to put a little bit more money into my pocket.
Hey, Kinger, now you spent the day in St. Paul, didn't you? So you had some fun too. How was that?
I loved when you said hopping puddles on a sunny day on West 7th. That's like a country song I hope someone writes. It's a great day. I love it so much. We did breakfast and got it going. Did all 4 games. I left a little early in the last game, but Digidio's, a big circle table in between sessions, and it's so great. It's really a wonderful time, and everybody's just buzzing around, and all the kids with their hats up on their head high because I guess they don't pull them down, or it's so unique. I had a buddy from Illinois with me, and he was just like, what the hell is this? Like, at one point, his kid plays hockey, right? Youth hockey. And we're in the building and it's basically full. And he's just like, what is happening? What is this? This is a high school hockey game. There's 18,000 people in here. Yeah. God bless the state of hockey.
Hey, a few things for you that came to my mind. I was able to go watch the Gentry Minnetonka game. One, do they make the Rinkrat shirt anymore? That was like the staple when I was a kid. The white shirt with the rats and then each jersey of the teams. Do they sell that anymore? Did you see that?
I'm sure they do. I've talked to that guy at some point. I really wanted to do a hockey hair version of the Rinkrat shirt, and I found him at some point, but I'm sure they do. But I didn't see it. It was kind of one of those deals. It was like at Maharaja's, it was at the antique store across the street with the faded Dino Ciccarelli poster. I think the guy was like standing there selling them for years. But if you're listening, Rinkrat shirt guy, we want to know where we can get those. That is a part of the tradition for sure.
It was a staple for years.
And it's just now it's like vintage,
Yeah.
Like my shirts my kids can fit in now.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. You see a kid walking around in a 2001 state high school tourney Rinkrat.
Right.
Yeah, getting you'll have, Gentry in there. You got Rosemount in there for the first time since 34 years. So yeah, I hope he is or she is still making those.
Hey, Kinger, did you see the stat that 45 threw up there? Speaking of Rinkrats and the T-shirts, there's 2 teams. I will just I'll ask this on the podcast right now. 2 teams that have hockey tournament every decade. I suppose that's how you ask it. Every decade since the beginning of the tournament. So once every 10 years. Do you know those 2 teams?
Okay, so it started in 1945. I don't know how old all the schools are. So every decade.
They've had an appearance.
They had an appearance.
I thought Salt St. Paul was in it, but I was wrong. There was nothing in the 2010.
I'm going to say like White Bear Lake just because you brought it up, and maybe like Duluth East.
Boom, White Bear Lake. Good guess. I didn't have it. I had a Duluth team. I thought it maybe was going to be similar, something like that, like an Edina maybe. Wasn't Edina, but it's Warroad. So Warroad's been there a ton of times. And then White Bear Lake. Just White Bear Lake's never played in the second game of the state tournament.
It's going to happen. Once we win one game, we're winning the whole thing.
Hey, real quick, what's the hot lap like at the state high school hockey tournament? What do you have to stop by? Because I got something to show you here from Vegas that you can't miss.
I've been, are you talking food wise or like, I've been deep into the smell of the mini donuts. I'm sorry. I just, right around the corner on the wall, it just hovers there. So I don't eat them. You know, I got the celiac. So I just basically sit there and kind of, it's almost like a steam room. It's like a mini donut steam room. I shave my legs. I just kind of sit there. No, the hot lap is good. People from all over, you know, a lot of people. Carts, Stalock. Like you're not getting far without somebody that you know, somebody you coached with, somebody your kids played with, and then you have different towns coming in at different times, right? So you'll have the Edina people are showing up at night, right? You got the Moorhead people buzzing around, and then you have all the single A kids flying around with the bleach blonde hair mixed into the crowd. It's awesome. I didn't play hot lap. I did lots of laps just to get my steps, you know. But what do you got in Vegas? Is there some sort of treat that you picked up, or is it a Fat Tuesday? I hope.
At the Waldorf Astoria, right on the strip, they have the second best cookie I've ever had or seen. T-Rex cookies, monster cookies. They're probably top notch. Yeah, the biggest and the best.
Is this a skillet?
Look at this thing.
Oh, it's like a bagel.
It's thick. It's dense. Sea salt on the top.
Oh,
dynamite
Jesus.
Cookies. If you're around, don't pass up the cookie at the Waldorf Astoria right now. Like that thing, I think it could double as a hockey puck too. But
is it warm?
Only cookie batter is a T-Rex cookie. That's for sure.
Where do you get that at the Waldorf? Is that just at the front desk, like that one motel where you just they're just warmed up on a plate?
It's Waldorf Astoria Ballroom A in Las Vegas.
But they do sell them at their. I saw them this morning. They have them at their little like coffee shop on the way by. Because I do this like powder coffee. I can't do like normal coffee, so I have to always go down to the front desk and get like just the hot water. And they stare at me like, "Why do you want a hot water, sir?" And then I pour the powder in. And then I looked into the case and I was like, "Do people get that for breakfast?" And that cookie, I mean, it's like this thick. You know, and they had like croissants with like chocolate on them. I mean, it looked unbelievable.
You do the mushroom coffee?
I didn't know. It's like collagen powder coffee. Yeah.
Did they cook that?
So you sit down with some Metamucil?
It's fine.
Did they make that cookie in a pie tin, or I mean, that thing is unbelievable. Show the width of that. Show me the cross section again.
It's like a Detroit
this is my
pizza.
face. Like, this is my fist. Like, look at the size of the cookie.
I can't believe you haven't. Why have you not eaten it? I mean, what's going on? Are you saving that for a special? Okay. So should we do trade deadline, or what do you want to do? State tournament?
Yeah, let's get into the meat of this podcast because now I don't know how you feel, Al. Like trade deadline in terms of sport, like it's one of the more underrated days. Like the hockey season. I'm not like glued to my phone any other day like I am trade deadline day. Like what is going to happen? Pieces moving in, pieces moving out, who's moving, who's shaking, like across the board. And it just doesn't have to be your team. Like, you ever traded at the deadline?
I was traded once as like a throw-in. More of like a get out of here type thing. And you can have him type thing. So I don't even know if it was considered a trade.
You were just the luggage.
Because it's almost like golf. It's almost like golf. Like every shot, you can sit there and like dive into your shot and be like, God, what did I do there? Just an absolute hosel rocket. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you go through the trades. Like we're sitting in here and we're like, you know, you see a guy and he's going here and you're like, That's a weird deal. Really? Why? They mustn't have space for him there. Every single deal you go through and you dive into it and break it down in a little 2-minute span. It's like golf, I guess. After I skull one into the woods.
Yeah. So I've been traded at the deadline. Similar situation where I was actually hurt and they wanted me gone.
So there'll be like me and Keeler, like right now they got Trocheck and Robert Thomas, they said, on ESPN for the trade deadline. So this would have been like circa 2012. They have me and Karts on the front page of ESPN. Who's on the move this year? Yeah. Yeah. And me and Karts are the label boys.
People were that was the year you guys were on the cover of EA Sports, the video game, right?
Yeah.
The same year.
On the back.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
I think what we can take from that is that people wanted us. Like nobody really wanted Robert Thomas and Vinny Trocheck.
Right.
That's why they didn't get moved.
Nothing like getting traded and then getting put on waivers immediately. That's how bad the team wanted you. You know what I mean?
I want to hear your perspective as analyst, because like as a fan, totally underwhelming. Like all this hype,
today.
Oh my God! Like it's Vinny Trocheck. Vinny Trocheck was talked about so much that it was actually boring for Wild fans. Like we were talking ourselves into Brady Tkachuk and maybe Quinn Hughes' mom and dad and Jack. We're going to rebuild Team USA in St. Paul. All these different things. And I just scrolled through the trade tracker, and I'm like, Kadri to Colorado was pretty interesting. It was like none of the Rangers. I guess the Rangers fans are super pissed at Drury because he said he's gonna, rebuild and
wrote a letter.
And nobody, he didn't move anybody. One guy, right? So
the prices are way too high.
Yeah. So I would love to hear who you think, especially in the West. Is there anything you kind of look at and go, uh-oh? And then we'll get into the Wild made a handful of moves as well. We can get into those. But, the Kadri to Colorado, that's probably a problem. Don't love that. Tough guy, playing well. But, is there anything – I saw Dallas pick somebody up. I'm just curious, as we have to come through the West, what's in our way that wasn't in our way yesterday?
Couple thoughts. It's interesting because I think like the pundits, the writers, and the media kind of have to drum up some excitement around the deadline, and they catch a rumor and they run with it almost to the point where like they have to make it true or be the ones to say like I broke this first. So I think a lot of it is just flat out rumors. But what I think today illustrated is that like the things are nowhere near as close to being done, or there's value to players like people think. Like the packages that were thrown out there that Minnesota. Now we've heard a couple of things that Minnesota had given the Rangers, and then we just heard in passing that the Wild never wanted to give up their first pick for a Vinny Trocheck or something like that. And you're like, somehow information, it was misinterpreted or something. So I think a lot of that buzz and that excitement probably comes from some type of clickbait a little bit. But I do have a thought on why I think the prices were too high, and I think Drury could potentially be getting caught in a tough spot. So Bill Guerin goes out, and I think Bill Guerin set the market. From what we learned with the Quinn Hughes trade is Billy just didn't bother like going back and forth with Jimmy Rutherford in Vancouver. He just put first best final deal. And like Rutherford said, he didn't call back. He didn't ask for more. He just took the deal. Wild showed they wanted it. They gave great assets, and Rossi, Ogren, first, and I know I'm missing a piece here, but
Zeev.
Yeah, Zeev. Sorry, maybe the biggest piece there. So Vancouver's just like, yeah, absolutely, I'll take that deal. Now, what I think ended up happening is it felt like a year where now buzz was being generated specifically for like top centermen and right shot D-men. So the market ask now was, well, if Quinn Hughes is going for like that kind of assets, like, and we have the best center on the board, we should get three of those four assets. So the asking price was astronomical because Billy had set the market. So in some ways, I think the Quinn Hughes trade froze the big deals on deadline day. Because what's the biggest name that switched hands here? Probably Kadri.
That's what it looked like to me.
All deadline day?
Yeah. Like,
Justin Falk.
On a day where it felt like
Braden
big
Shen.
names are going to be moved, like Braden or
Robert Thomas.
Thomas was going to go. Maybe Kyrou was going to go.
Yeah.
Parayko was going to go.
Yeah.
Like big names are going to go, and they just didn't. I think John Carlson to Anaheim's a sneaky big one too. Like John Carlson, legacy player in Washington, going out to Anaheim. I think the arms race did show up in the West. I felt like the West did a lot more wheeling and dealing, and they got to it sooner. That's the other takeaway on this deadline. Like you look at Vegas, who did they want? Rasmus Anderson. They didn't wait till the deadline. They went out and got Rasmus Anderson. Wild wanted Quinn Hughes. They went out and got him. And teams that I think waited ended up getting burnt. And even teams that were waiting for like a third line center. So I have to think Colorado got better because they wanted depth down the middle. They went out and got Nicholas Waugh from Toronto. And what was that? A first round pick and something else? Seems expensive for like a third line centerman, you know. But
well, yeah, he came in the Marner deal, right?
Yeah,
Toronto flips him for a first.
Get another first out of the Marner deal.
Out of the Marner deal. I mean, that goes back to a year ago. But yeah, if you look at it that way, turns out it might be a decent deal.
But then all of a sudden you saw other dominoes fall. Now Dowd went to Vegas, and I think there was another like fourth line centerman that was moved. So teams just kind of, instead of being able to swing for the fences and get these top six guys that it sounded like were all over the trade board, everybody eventually just went like, well, the assets I'm comfortable giving up right now, if it's a first round pick or a second round pick, can only get me a fourth line guy or a third line center. So those were the deals we saw throughout the day. So that's probably my take on the day. Is it did feel underwhelming from a headline perspective. I do think that the deadline helped the Wild out maybe more than anybody else because no movers and shakers in the West did a lot. And if you look at the Wild's record against playoff teams, you know, they're like 27-5 against playoff teams this year. So against the good teams, they seem to be better. And those teams not going out and getting a bunch of pieces, like Dallas got Tyler Myers. It's going to be tough. They got a Michael. They were able to pry Michael Bunting away
from Nashville,
and then Colorado got like a couple like depth D-men and the center too, and Vegas got a depth centerman. I think that's really kind of it.
There was no like I think Hines said it too, like no like locker room altering trades. You know what I mean? Where it like shook up the whole dynamic of a locker room that happened. You know, you think back to some of the blockbusters. Teams like just kind of bolstered positions they needed depth at.
Yeah. I think it was more teams addressed roles versus like holes in their lineup, you know, like Wild have been looking for a top six scorer, top six whatever, and they couldn't address that hole. So let's get better with our role. So they bring in Nick Foligno, lefty, who can play fourth line minutes, captain. It's going to be a good dude. You know, he's got his brother on the team, wants to win. The motivation is certainly going to be there, and he can take a draw on the left side of the ice. He can also take a shift on the third line and the second line. You know, if the faceoff is needed there, then you got McCarron, who's a righty, can take fourth line draws, third line draws, PK draws, whatever, change, get off the ice. And then a couple of guys that can slide like your middle six, and Fabbri and Brink, two guys that I think, you know, play with speed, think the game offensively probably first before the defensive side of it. So if you have an injury to one of the guys in your top six or your middle six, that you're comfortable with those guys instead of calling up one of your prospects from Iowa that maybe isn't as polished. So I think the Wild, and Petrie on the blue line too, right shot D-man, who's been in playoff runs, played international hockey, good player. So the Wild just kind of fortified what they already had. And I think that they now have NHL caliber replacements at every level, other than maybe like down the middle again, which is the glaring, the need coming into the day. But it sounds like the asking price for anything up the middle was just astronomical.
Right.
So what do you? If fans are the kind of the mantra going into the deadline after the big splash with Quinn was sort of, I guess, top six forward, mostly a center, maybe a center for Kirill. Didn't pick that up. Obviously, we're a top 5 team in the league right now. I mean, I think it's kind of amazing to me that the trade deadline happened when Billy's in Vegas, and has to not gamble. It's it had to be hard for him to kind of fill in the depth, like you said, Karts. But what do you make of you think the center thing's overrated? Down the middle, the whole championships down the middle. Something the Wild really have kind of not had kind of their whole existence. What do you make of that? If that was the box to check and we didn't check it?
No, I think they're comfortable with Yurov. They love his game. He's only going to get better. It's just the patience part. And, he's going to have to learn on the fly. Playoffs is a whole different animal, but he's so smart. He's going to get better in the circle, obviously. He gets stronger, he gets bigger, he gets older, but you look at Hartsey too last year in playoffs, how good and how effective he is that time of year.
Yeah, he was Wild's best player, I thought, in that series.
That's when he's the most effective in playoff series, and it's such an important position. Any team. I think you ask any GM, is any GM going to say, "Yep, we're fully set down the middle," with injuries and depth and all that? It's a spot. It's hard to fill top to bottom.
I guess the proof of that is all of this Robert Thomas, Vinny Trocheck, despite the graphics on ESPN right now. I mean, it just didn't happen. People don't part with that stuff, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to get. So maybe, who knows what the ceiling is for Yurov. Is that a guy that
test cards right now? Will you part with that cookie? Can I have half that?
Yeah, eat this bad boy.
Will you part with that?
Yeah, why are you doing this?
Part with that.
I can see you. You're doing this in front of me. All right, whatever.
Hey, so I have a couple thoughts on it. I think that
oh my God,
it's exciting for the Wild. Billy, for the first time, kind of said, you have to make the smart, patient, right decision. And could he have gotten Trocheck? I think so. Could he have gotten Robert Thomas? I think so. But I think he also understood that maybe shortens his winning window. I think there was thought we can make these moves, but it might burn us before we have a chance to win, because you do need some luck to win. You do need to stay healthy. Put all your eggs in one basket in a year or two, you might be cooked, So if the winning window is 4 years, I think there was some desire to preserve assets to be able to make a run at players should the roster illustrate a need for something different a year from now or 2 years from now. So the Wild didn't sewer themselves there with that one and throw things away chasing it just this year. Now, what I think is interesting about what they did is they got bigger and they got better with depth. But you look at their D, Jared Spurgeon, Quinn Hughes. Yeah, you've got Middleton, you've got Bogosian, and those are your two big heavy guys. Faber's kind of there too. But now you have some help with those guys net front and in matchups with a McCarron, with a Nick Foligno who can play the middle or something like that. So now you have some size to help you out there.
Hey, can we go through the guys? So start with Nick Foligno, right? So it's kind of funny. Remember the Foligno face-off, right? I donated that night, and I think I mistakenly donated to Nick, and I was horrified. I'm like, oh my God, because this is like a family charity. Like Moose is going to see that I donated to Nick Foligno by accident. Not that he would really matter, but so I reached out to my buddy in Chicago that was with me, and I was like, tell me about Nick. And he's like, well, the Blackhawks have been using him kind of as a big brother to Bedard. He's kind of showing him how to be a pro. If anybody touches him, he's a tough, old school hockey player, cut from the same mold as Moose. This whole year of the brother thing, I'm very intrigued with, I think Billy just did this in Italy, right? It's like if you put two brothers in a room, that want to win rounds and win a cup. If this was some sort of military movie, from a foxhole standpoint, having 2 Folignos instead of 1, having 3 captains now. Quinn Hughes was a captain. Nick Foligno was a captain. Jared Spurgeon's a captain, right? All in the same locker room. I think you could argue perhaps the biggest locker room change is Nick Foligno coming in, especially with Moose being hurt right now, right? So what do I need to know about this guy beyond, is he just everything we love about Moose, but the brother?
Yeah, he's a lot different than Marcus in the way that he plays. I think the way that they approach the game is similar. Dad Mike has done a good job raising the boys and through hockey, and both honest, both leaders, both good humans, like top-notch humans. But what's he as a player now? I think this is his 19th year pro. I think he is used as a captain, as like a mentor to Chicago. Like Chicago is looking to have a steady leader to navigate some tough times with the young kids through a rebuild and a maturation of Bedard and stuff. But now they wanted to give him a chance to win, because I think, who knows how many more kicks of the can Nick has. So opportunity to play here against Minnesota. Funny story too, like apparently he texted Marcus and said, I'm on the move, and Marcus is like, oh man, where are you headed? And he's like, over to your house, just to that effect a little bit, like saying, I just got traded to Minnesota. So then that's how Marcus found out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty sweet, right?
Well, it says a lot about Nick too. My last stop was in Chicago, and Luke Richardson was the head coach, and brought in Nick, who he played with his last year in the NHL, Luke Richardson, knowing that it was kind of it's going through a rebuild, what he does to a locker room, almost an extension of the coaching staff. And at that time, I think Nick went to Toronto, and maybe he came to Toronto at the deadline, went to Boston, signed a discount deal to go to Boston, right? And then Chicago came out and gave him a big deal that summer to come in and, like you said, almost be a dad to Bedard, an extension of the coaching staff there. And from when he was a rookie, and Luke Richardson was a head coach of the Blackhawks at the time, he's now an assistant with Nashville. But to reach out to Nick, get him to Chicago, and what he's done, to help Bedard grow as a player, I think it says a ton about what he brings. To have an old teammate of yours, first call he makes, first signing that summer of Chicago is, let's go get Nick Foligno and put the C on his chest.
And Billy wanted him that summer too. I think Nick just couldn't say no to the money there in Chicago.
Yeah, and I think his comfort level with Luke as an old teammate, and probably told him what his leadership role was going to be there. And
so what is Nick? How is he different than Marcus?
Yeah, do the on the ice thing, because so much more than most of the fans. I don't know what he plays like. How is he different than Marcus?
Better skater. Okay. Like probably smoother, kind of more relies on skating and edge work, and probably the hands a little bit. Probably less physical, but still physical, still answer the call every once in a while. Marcus will use a big hit to change momentum in a game or a fight, and Marcus is kind of like the resident heavyweight here. Nick's not quite like that. Nick, I think, had a little bit more offense to his game, but I think he's adapted to a bottom six kind of role a little bit, can still put the puck in the back of the net, can still be a guy that's net front on your power play in the second unit. But I see him now being a guy that is going to play the middle of the wing on the fourth line. You can trust him to win his board battle and get the puck out when it matters. He's polished. He's not going to make a young mistake. He can still skate, and it's a calling card of his. So just pure polish from this guy, probably from the locker room to the ice and to probably the decision making on the ice. It's just pure polish. So I think that's kind of a nice pickup, that depth piece that, if in the first round, I feel like we talk about this a lot, that the skill guys sometimes struggle to adjust to the playoff style of hockey because it's tighter, it's more physical, they're used to more space, they're used to 3-4 chances a night. Now they're getting 1 or 2, and there's somebody in their face, and it just takes a little while for them to get to the playoff grind. when you can hit the ground running with like your bottom 6 or your bottom 9 that understand the grind early, they help you win that first playoff series. And then the game starts to look more like regular hockey round 2, 3, 4. So having a guy like Nick that understands, and even all these depth pieces, if they can chip in, and that's what I think Billy was looking at. For me, these are first round guys. Like they can help you get through the first round, adjust to that gritty kind of game, win a series on that, and then buy time for the studs to kind of adjust to that type of hockey game a little bit. But we should transition to McCarron, because I think he's the main piece here that Bill Guerin went out and got. And Brink might play above him in the lineup. And we'll see when everybody's healthy. Hinostroza was the lone guy out, so I think Brink somehow replaced Hinostroza. So maybe a younger version of Hinostroza and how he's deployed in the lineup. Fast, skilled, right shot, played in Philly under Torts. So I think that there's comfort there that he knows how to play the game the right way. The other thing we keep hearing Bill Guerin talk about, and Hines, is like a level of compete, and you know that's not present, or it will be present for anybody that played for John Tortorella, right? So I know he had his run-ins with Tortorella. Tortorella sat him in Minnesota, if you recall that story. I think Brink was a little too young at that time to make us think about that, but it had to have stung a little bit. But so Brink will go up and down your lineup a little bit. He could be healthy scratched at times too, depending on who's healthy, who's going, what that is. But I think McCarron's going to be the guy that's a staple in your lineup now. So eventually, if you can get to a fourth line, that's like a Marcus Foligno, McCarron in the middle, Trennion on the right, or vice versa on the wings, something like that, where you have just a monster line where you can hit, you can skate, you can make a play. Like that's all of a sudden a playoff line. And that allows Hines now to go Hartman, Eriksson, Urov, 2 offensive pieces that they trust, and then just a super heavy fourth line. So I think McCarron's the big one here, the big piece. Righty, Wild have had, and they still do have, more lefties than anything else. I think Hartman, lone righty, without Hinostroza, might be the lone righty on the roster.
Brink's a righty.
Brink is now, but before that.
McCarron, Brink, yeah. Right.
So now you got 2 righty options down the middle. So that half the ice, Hines has 2 guys he can use to take draws on their strong side in that spot. I think that's something that's been grinding Hines' gears for a while, just not having those types of options. So now he has them, and I think he's pretty pumped about that.
What's this McCarron like? What are we going to see? Is he? We had Brazeau came in 6'6". We've done this sort of 6'6" thing at the deadline, but I was certainly interested in more toughness. That's something that I was insecure about going into the playoffs. So is this guy like another Trennan? Is that kind of like, is that the closest comp in sort of what we're going to see with McCarron? Like a big banger?
I think it's Marcus, don't you?
A Foligno?
It's Marcus. He'll fight more. This guy's got more sandpaper. Like, still a willingness to hit, but probably more sandpaper than a Trennan. Would you agree?
I think so, yeah. I'm just pulling up.
How about offensively? Yeah. What do we expect from him?
I think something similar. 10, like a good year would probably be 20 points, 10 and 10.
Okay.
I think that's a good year for him. What's his track record say? Has he gotten to 10 before?
Yeah. He's had over 10 in Nashville.
I think he's a 10-10 kind of guy, right. Especially with how Hines is going to use him. He'll play 9 to 11 minutes. He'll hopefully win 55% of his draws, and he'll chip in a goal every 8 games. And you got 10-10, boom, you're happy with it. So I think he's more sandpaper, more fight, more net front, rub your face in it. Less like I'm going to run up the ice and run you through a wall with blazing speed like Trennion, but maybe a little bit more touch around the net.
I love it. And then talk Fabbri a little bit. Was Fabbri the guy when he was like coming into the league that was like, I think this is right. Wasn't he like the shootout phenom, and he was like super hyped up, Robby Fabbri, and he could do some of the tricks.
He was super hyped up. I don't remember his shootout.
And like, I think he was like like a high skill.
Yeah.
Almost like these influencers that are bouncing around now doing all this crazy stuff with their sticks. I might have the wrong guy, but what about so do you see Fabbri and Brink as kind of, I love how you described it, Karts. We now have layers, right? And when we get into this musket fighting of the playoffs and guys are going down, or you need guys up in the press box that are pros. You're not pulling someone into a position they're not ready to be in. Now you got Fabbri, you got Brink, you got McCarron, you got Foligno, you got two Folignos, right? So is he what's Fabbri similar to a Brink, like pop a few in the net, maybe the middle six, how would you describe what we should expect to see with Fabbri?
I liked his first game. I thought he was great. He did exactly what I think Hines was looking for in him. And like when you talk about when he was young, when he first came on the scene, he could fly. Yeah. And unfortunately, he had some knee issues. He got hurt early on in his career with his knee. And, I don't want to say it slowed him down a ton, because I thought he was skating well. Into a new system, new terminology, learning, what the Wild like to do, how they want to play. But he had 2 grade A scoring chances in that game, and then he also had an unbelievable play in the defensive zone, like a responsible play. But if you can do that, what he did the other night against Tampa, I think that the staff is. I mean, it's going to be a heck of a waiver claim if you're going to get that effort and those plays out of him on a consistent basis.
But I think, King, to your point on he popped early in his career. He popped early in his tenure with Minnesota. I think the challenge for him is going to be, can you do it consistently? Mm-hmm. He's got the talent. He's put up 20 goals before, I believe, maybe even more than once or twice. They didn't give up anything for him other than a waiver claim. So I think it's a take a shot on me. Like, why not? Like, it doesn't cost you anything. And he's fast. That speed showed right away. And maybe he's still got something to prove too. Like, he's on, I think this might be his 5th stop. Like, it was St. Louis, Detroit, Anaheim, back to St. Louis, and then St. Louis waives him. I actually don't know. I'd be curious to know why St. Louis waived him, because St. Louis was obviously trading pieces out. So I don't think that they needed roster flexibility to be able to bring guys in. Maybe. I don't think so, because he was already down in the minors. So I think it was just giving the kid a chance. He had signed a PTO, I think, at the start of the year to play in St. Louis's system. But I think the hope is that he was caught in a tough situation and that he's an NHL player that just didn't get a sniff in St. Louis this year. And at the end of the day, he might end up being one of those guys that doesn't quite have a spot. Like, defensively, maybe isn't responsible enough. And we haven't seen enough, but typically I think when you see a career path like this, where it's high prospect, really good offense, kind of fizzles out, but sticks around into his late 30s, it's one of those guys where not quite offensive enough to be in your top 6 on a daily basis, but not quite defensively responsible enough to be your 3rd line guy every time. And that's why Bobby Brink was healthy scratched by John Tortorella, because Tortorella doing the guy a favor, saying, you got to do these things to be this kind of player. Not everybody can be a Boldy, Kaprizov, Johansson, Zuccarello kind of thing. So I think Fabbri probably is cut from that cloth a little bit, where NHL player, NHL skill, NHL speed, shot, finish, offense, just consistently hasn't had enough to be able to stick in one spot and have it be like his spot.
Mm-hmm. And Bobby Brink, Minnesota kid, coming home, right? I think he was Minnetonka. He was a big hype young player. I remember hearing that name all over the rink when he was coming through the system. So I think that'll hopefully energize him, playing at home. He got after us, I think, on Philly. I think did he get a hat trick against us? I remember him doing damage to the Wild when he was on Philly.
Yeah. I think in Philly one game. Yeah. It was interesting because Billy was asked about it. Like, how cool is it to bring the Minnetonka native home? And Billy shot that down hard. It was like, he's not coming home. Like, Billy almost sent a message to all his buddies, like, you guys know where the ticket off it is. Don't be bugging him. He's coming here to do work. Like, we didn't acquire him for a fun story. We acquired him because we think he can help us win, and that's what we want to do, is win. So don't be tugging on him and pulling him different directions and galvanting around Minnetonka, YZ on the likes. Like, just let the kid do work. And he was serious about that.
It was. I was hoping they were going to keep going, and then there was another question that was asked, and it got swept right away.
Yeah.
He doesn't
go for a little bit. I started backing away a little bit. I was like, "Oh, are you talking about me?"
Like Homer Simpson in the bushes.
Yeah.
Well, Billy doesn't want. He doesn't want the local interest story. He wants the news item that you're winning rounds.
What's going to be best
winning
for the team and win? Yeah.
So I think that's. But I think he's an intriguing player. Certainly some offensive.
Yeah, I mean, he's played on the biggest stage. I think he's won a high school state championship, a U18.
Yeah.
National championship at Denver, I believe, when he was there.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
He's played in big games early in his career, And
played with Boldy in the past. Righty. I think he's like Johansson insurance a little bit. Somebody that can play on that right side in your third line. I think he's a Swiss Army knife. Good player. So I think that's
skill.
Yeah, that's a nice pickup.
Got a ton of skill.
Nice pickup. Hey, Kinger,
and he's an RFA too.
Yeah, so he's under team control.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of control, Kinger, are you in control of the grocery list, and where are you headed?
Yeah, it's funny you should ask. I am going to definitely head over to Cub and get a frozen pizza for tonight. I'm going to get I think they have a Heggy's cauliflower crust pizza at Cub. I've been told this, so I'm going to go. I don't grocery shop myself. I'm one of those guys, Carts, if I'm in the grocery store, each item I'm getting, I ask the person where it is, and then they tell me the number of the aisle, and it's almost like a scavenger hunt. It takes a long time. But tonight, it's just going to be, hey, where's the Heggy's cauliflower crust pizza? Maybe get a beverage or something like that. Because the thing about Cub, they're local. They love sports. They sport all kinds of sports in Minnesota, not just Wild on 7th. And they're one of us. So shop happy at Cub. How about you? I know you're on the road, but if you were at home, is there any brand that you think's earned the right to be recommended in your life?
Tape to tape, baby. Nice, I like it. Yeah, today we're talking HVAC. Every homeowner eventually deals with HVAC problems. Furnace stops working, AC isn't keeping up, airflow drops, strange noises, maybe like mold in the bottom of your windows in the winter, whatever it might be. But Aquarius can handle both repairs and full system replacements. One call sends the right HVAC expert. No guessing who to call. Aquarius Home Service is the place to be. Locally owned and operated, decades upon decades, serving the Twin Cities homeowners. Fast diagnosis, honest recommendations, professional installation. You get $98 off any HVAC repair or new system. And you can get that financed as low as $86 per month. Eliminate the stress of managing separate contractors. All the way, Aquarius Home Services, earning the right to be recommended. Check them out.
Hey, what's the vibe? What's the vibe in Vegas? That? You got the game tonight. Do you see the guys around? Is like Kirill listening to the podcast he was on by the pool? Like, what's going on?
It's amazing how many Wild fans you see all the time here.
Like, you think in Vegas you'd get lost.
You get to get away. Yeah, there's people everywhere. Like, what was it? Right away last night, we just went to go sit down and watch the game. Someone walked by Carts, like, hey, Carts, how you doing?
Yeah, K-fan shirt.
Yeah, K-fan shirt. It's like, wow.
Wild fans travel well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We have the ladies. I think there's like a ladies of the Wild party in Vegas.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Wow, wow! I look forward to seeing you both be dragged by your hair to Ladies of the Wild Island. That's great. That's great. You should go.
Yeah, yeah. I think the vibe is good. I think there's excitement. I think deadline day is nerve-wracking for players because you don't always know how management feels about you, and if you're one of the pieces that could stick around, if you'd be moved out, like what it looks like. But once noon hits here in the Pacific, I think it was like a quiet confidence, like good, like we got better, we got deeper. Management, which I think the team already knew, believes in the group, giving them what they need or what they think they need to win and make a deep run. The Quinn Hughes trade kind of started that narrative, I think. So I think there's like a quiet confidence and an excitement that the dog days of the season are over. Games 40 to 60 or 30 to 60, whatever it is, they're done. Now it's like the sun's out, like you're outside, you're walking to the rink. Like hockey is fun in this kind of weather. And to your point, Kinger, I think the Wild guys are ready to be playing hockey in shorts. And I think some of the older guys on the roster realize that the opportunities to play meaningful hockey in shorts are rare, and this team has the ability to do that. So I think that the leadership group has them pretty darn well focused. And Vegas, another good team. We should do a look around the league a little bit and some of the other teams that improved a little bit and where they stand. Vegas is a team that, like, this was crazy. Last night we're sitting in the sports book, and Vegas was more of a favorite to win the cup than the Wild are.
Yeah.
And Vegas's goaltending has struggled. They've stunk out of the Olympic break. Their studs aren't scoring.
Carlson's hurt, and potentially maybe for the year.
Yeah.
Carlson's out. Yeah, I mean, but you just, like you said, I think you said it best. They have to go through the Pacific.
Yeah.
The Wild have to go through the Central.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
So Vegas is a slight betting favorite. I think Wild were, plus 1,200? And
Yeah, they were 5th or 6th best odds.
yeah, Vegas is plus 900. So Vegas is good. I think Colorado's the team that now all of a sudden frightened me. Watching the deadline, two thoughts were always in the back of my head were, are the Wild going to get a top 6 centerman? That's what they've been coveting. What will they give up? And could that be detrimental to the future? Turns out they didn't chase one of those guys, but they didn't leverage their future. But the next thought was, what is Colorado and what is Dallas going to do? Dallas went out and got bigger on the blue line, right shot D, Tyler Myers, and a middle 6 guy like Bobby Brink in their version, and that's
Bunting. So he sees that rat roll, kind of like Marchand, who they didn't resign, went to Seattle originally. Now he's in Columbus.
Yeah, and there was chatter that Evander Kane was going to Dallas and what that would look like. So maybe Bunting does fill that role, and that was like a pivot from Dallas, going Kane to Bunting. But Dallas's moves don't scare me that much. I thought maybe they'd have some salary cap space to weaponize because Sagan's out for the year. They got the paperwork finished. And sometimes trades are still in the queue. And this is one that's, we jumped on 90 minutes after the deadline passed, but Kadri was still in the queue. That looks like it's a done deal to Colorado. That's the one that scares me a little bit because he's got that little rat, that grit to him.
Over a 7-game series, you're going to see a constant battle between like him and a Hartman.
Yeah, a little bit of hate,
series.
both sides. And just a little bit more center depth. And I don't know why Colorado would need that. They get Waugh, they've got Brock Nelson, they've got Nathan McKinnon. So I
think any GM would just load up on, and they might not play center. And Hines talked about that too. These guys might not.
Kadri might play the wing with Waugh
at times.
He's a dog.
So Colorado's a team that
he's
now
scary.
frightens me.
Kadri's a dog. Yeah. I've watched him a lot, and that's not great that he went to Colorado. But
he'll be rejuvenated.
Yeah, but
getting out of Calgary and losing seasons, and yeah.
But I like.
And he's been in Colorado in the past, so seamless transition for him. It should be easy.
He won the cup there, right?
Yeah.
I like what you guys said about the window, though. Billy's got this off season. Quinn, 18 months really is what we bought, right? So we've got this off season still important. Strammel's been awesome at Michigan State with that Porter Matone. Urov has a high ceiling. We're still figuring out what he is. We got 2 goalies still that are studs with Volstead and Gus still here in town, right? So even like Hartman, I was always worried somehow he was going to be gone, and he's kind of our resident playoff guy, one of. So I'm really happy they didn't scramble the eggs too much, or we're good. I think the fan base knows we're good. The fan base is excited about this hockey team, and I'm glad we didn't just do something to do something. It seems like we've added some layers. And, it's playoffs are hard, man. I mean, guys go down. And so to have NHL ready guys that are ready to jump in, and most of them, as you described, whether it's playing for Torts, Foligno, a captain, these are guys that aren't going to have bright, big eyes in the playoffs, right? They know how to do this. So I think we're ready to go to work.
Before we wrap up, the other teams that interest me, so you go out east, like Buffalo buying, intriguing. The deals that they got done today. Corey Perry on the move from LA to Tampa. Again, Tampa best in the East. Buffalo picked up Sam Carrick, Luke Shen, Logan Stanley.
Tanner Pearson went to Buffalo as well, right?
Yeah. Logan Stanley, Wild fans remember, he sat on Kirill, almost broke him in two. So Buffalo kind of got a little bit bigger and a little bit meaner.
And congrats to Tampa on finishing runner-up in the Stanley Cup final with Corey Perry on the roster. So that's exciting for them. They're gonna.
Now you know the West.
They get all that money for 3 rounds, and I mean that's just from a business standpoint, it's smart to just pick up the 3 rounds. You don't need the hardware.
Ooh, burn. Cool. Anything else from you guys?
When does this go out? Should we do high school predictions and make ourselves look foolish? Is this today, Huss, or is this on Monday? Today? Okay, so have you watched enough high school to have an opinion on who's going to win the championships? I know you've been at Vegas.
We know it's what? Hibbing Warroad's in the final, we know.
So I'm going Hibbing in the single A.
I watched
unfinished
2
business.
I watched 2 periods of the Minnetonka Gentry game live. And Minnetonka's the real deal. I haven't had an opportunity to watch many of the other games, though.
Yeah, I haven't either. I'm going to go Hibbing. It's the year of the brother. Swanson brothers are going to do it.
Okay.
If the Hughes brothers win the gold medal, the Kachuk brothers win the gold medal, I think the Swanson brothers win the state high school hockey tournament, Class A. Class AA. Minnetonka was big. They were mean, too. They were physical. Gentry, I think, had 8 shots after, the first 20-something minutes. Right. And
I think they had 5 after 2 periods.
Yeah.
It was 4-0 after 2, and the shots were 32-5.
Yeah. So Gentry just didn't want to play anymore. So Minnetonka probably is who I think wins that. But I say that I'm rooting for the orange and black because that's where I bleed.
Yeah.
So we're going Moorhead.
Yeah. And Joe O'Donnell, what did he say last night? Edina looked really good.
Yeah, I
that's who you're going with?
No, he just said that. Could it be a Moorhead Minnetonka final?
It can. I watched all of them yesterday, and Tonka, very interesting, very structured. The goalie's like a Hellebuck clone. You'd love him, Al. Big kid.
Yeah, he was big, yeah.
Good goalie. Hard to score against. Rosemount's very intriguing to me. One of the weirdest teams I've ever watched. Not a lot of urgency. They kind of muck it up. They are absolutely tight brothers. I interviewed some of these guys on the green carpet, and I think all 25 of them were within 2 feet of the microphone. I mean, it was like these guys are thick, and I think they just kind of.
This is Rosemount?
Yes, they will change.
I saw Rosemount score the go-ahead goal yesterday. I was watching from the airplane, and the kid was almost encroaching. The kid next to him on the bench. So the kid that scored. His teammate was encroaching on his space on the bench, doing the high to get on the jumbotron.
To get on the camera? Who was it?
Who was mid-game, 1-goal game.
Grand Rapids, the kid that did the fishing celly?
Yeah.
Is it true that he's got a full ride to Arkansas for fishing? I read it online.
That'd be great.
It was how cool is it that whoever it was for Grand Rapids did the fishing celly? He's got a full ride to Arkansas for fishing.
We're going to look into this for sure. The
Grand Rapids kid that did that celly where he casted the pole and then reeled into the fans.
Rosemount's thick though, man. It's just a very unpredictable team, even for Minnetonka. It's kind of a muddy track. They're boys. That's scary. And then so Moorhead. It's every player on Moorhead has 20% Quinn Hughes. It's absolutely fascinating to watch this team. They don't hit. They are all flow, all offense. They got great handles. There's 10 Cullens, so they're unbelievable. But when I watched Edina to go with Joe O'Donnell, Edina seemed to have a little bit of what every other team had that I watched all day, right? They were skilled, they were mean, they were big, and they were fast. So I don't know, man. I think you might see Edina beat Moorhead, and then Tonka gets to the chip, but Edina owns a lot of real estate in Tonka's head, and then Edina wins. That's just kind of what I'm feeling. I'll look really stupid tomorrow when Moorhead wins like 7-4, but that's what I'm feeling based on yesterday.
This tweet, I screenshotted this tweet. It's some kid for Grand Rapids in the MN High School State Tourney is committed to Kentucky on a full ride for fishing. He just tied the game with under a minute left and hit a full ice length cast and reel celly. Nails. That's fishing.
Catch and release, baby. What a legend.
That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome if true. We need to get to
even if it's not true. Out. If that's not true, it's great fake news that everyone can enjoy. It made our day better. I'm not going to dig into it. I'm just going to assume it's true. It makes me happy. Well, thanks for our listeners. This is a lot to kind of pull from Vegas and do this quickly. So if at times you hear a little robot voice or things are flickering in and out, thanks for being with us. We're just trying to get information to you as quickly as we can.
Cool. Appreciate you coming, Al. Thanks, Kinger.
We're here.
Have fun in St. Paul. Talk to you fellas later.
We're
Those
here.
Buds.
You got to do it, Carts. We're here.
Till it's here later.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.